Hey there everybody, my name is Keno and welcome back to your Toronto Maple Leafs franchise mode series here on the channel. Now, two things I'm going to address right off the bat. First of all, my voice sounds kind of like crap. I've been sick. That's why there haven't been videos. I'm really sorry about that. Second of all, as you can see, there is a Stanley Cup champion, and it's the Winnipeg Jets. Once again, back-to-back cup winners. And I know we didn't really face off against them this year because we were knocked out in the first round after being reverse swept by the Montreal Canadiens. We had them on the brink of elimination at the Bell Center in Montreal, and then they just destroyed us. They destroyed us. They came back and dominated us. It was unfortunate. Last video was unfortunate, but we can't waste time looking at the past and our mistakes, because as Leafs fans and Leafs true believers, if we took time looking at all of our mistakes, all of our near misses, all of our so closes, all of our we were almost theirs, we would be stuck in the past for eternity. We cannot be like that. We must look to the future and to the greatness that is ahead in order to achieve it, in order to get there. And that's what I plan to do in this episode. There have already been some pending free agent re-signings, and there have been some more contracts handed out. I've spent the entire postseason from the end of the last video to the beginning of this one on draft day in 2025 negotiating with players. Now, the big ones were not re-signed. Tavares, no contract. UC Saros, no contract. Nicholas Hague, no contract. Taylor Hall, no contract. But there were a few that were re-signed and a few that are still pending. If we look at all of our expiring contracts, as you can see, I've offered a few contracts out, but there are a few that don't have contracts. I don't believe we're bringing back Will Carrier. I also don't think we're going to be bringing back Taylor Hall, as unfortunate as it is, because he was really damn good in the short time he had with us. 11 points in 14 regular season games, followed by 5 points in 6 postseason games. He was really good for us. I don't think we have the cap in order to bring him back. We have contracts currently offered out to Alex Iafallo, Jake McCabe, which is a bit of a shocker, and if he does sign, it will be even more shocking. Blake Wheeler, because again, he was very cheap, and I believe that's it. Yes, that's all the only contracts that we have outstanding right now, just those 3. I'm still willing to bring back some other players. I might still bring back Nick Hague. I do plan to bring back John Tavares on a short-term deal. And Taylor Hall, it's a possibility, but his asking price is pretty high. I mean, $6.95 million for 3 years. That's definitely not getting that term, but still that cap hit is a little high for me. And then John Tavares, he's asking for $7.125 for 2 years, but if you drop it down to 1, he drops to $6.55, which means you can probably get him around $5.75 million roughly with the 85% trick, which I have been using graciously to try and get some of these contracts offered. Now, for players that I've already re-signed, it was Kiefer Bellows with a 2-year league min, Roni Hirvonen with a 2-year league min, Ty Cartier, because I didn't get to see enough of him, with a 2-year league minimum extension, Dmitry Ovchitnikov, who's going to play a big role for us with a 2-year league minimum extension, Michael Carconi got a 1-year $1.425 million extension, because that just comes a bit above the variable limit, so he doesn't technically count against the cap space. The full contract is about $200,000 against the cap space. Josh Mahura was 2 years at league minimum, which is amazing because he is a great depth defender here. Logan Stanley, 2 years at 1.275, which is again below the variable limit, so he didn't really count against the cap. And then William Villeneuve with a 2-year league minimum extension, and Ivan Prosvetov with a 1-year league minimum extension. We got a lot of players on really good value contracts here. Even Connor Timmins, I skipped right over him, 2 years at $850,000, which again doesn't count against the cap space, so it's beautiful. We brought back a lot of serviceable NHL or depth options for nothing. Absolutely nothing. We still have players like Easton Cowan, Max Ellis. We have Ty Cartier now. We have Thomas Nosek is one that I'm probably moving on from. I didn't realize he was $1.575 million in cap, and even though that's just $250,000 above the variable limit, I don't want that on my cap. I need as much cap space as I can. And as I said, and as you probably might have seen, we have $17.26 million in cap available. Yes, theoretically, doing the math, and after a few runs I've done, like test runs, I was able to sign Tavares, Hague, and UC Saros to 1-year extensions, but it just didn't feel right. Okay, my big worry is that, especially with UC Saros, it just wouldn't be enough. UC Saros, I mean, the lowest I could get him is probably around $6.5 million. And for a guy who was decent, like passable goaltender for us this season when we acquired him, but really crapped the bed in the playoffs and let us down, I don't want to give him $6.5 million. I'd rather save that $6.5 million and give like $3.5 of that to a serviceable 1A option for a Woll and Hildeby to fight over 1B, and then give the other $3 million to another defender or a forward. That's the way I want to do it. We have $17 million in cap space for the next season. I do plan to hopefully bring back John Tavares. If I can fit Taylor Hall, I will. I'm more than likely going to shop Nick Hague, even though he was decent for us, there's no doubt. I just don't like that I can't get him signed up for a really... I don't know. I don't really feel like he's worth $5 million. And that's what he's currently asking for. But as I said, it's going to be a lot of tricky navigating this episode and negotiating. And there's going to be some possible big goodbyes. I'm not sure. I don't want to say goodbye to John Tavares, even though he's aging up there. He has been a really steady, like, amazing second line center for us. I mean, I think he had 73 points again this season. Very good option. We have Matthews, Marner, and Nylander extended till next season. And yes, Tavares had 73 points in 82 games as a second line. And sometimes for a bit of the pretty good part of the season, third line center. That would be great. Bringing back Taylor Hall would be awesome. We have Nikita Grabyankin. We locked up Matthew Knies earlier in the season. We have Fraser Minton, and we have Nick Robertson on that steal of a deal. The only thing I'm concerned about with Nick Robertson is that horrible plus minus on a team that was pretty freaking solid. It's a little confusing. We also have Pontus Holmberg extended as we did earlier this season. He's got a 2-year, $2.175 million extension, and he hasn't been very good for us. I mean, we haven't given him the most ice time, but even when we did, he didn't clasp at those opportunities and really drive the puck. So freeing up that $2.175 million might be a good option for us. Either way, it all starts here with the 2025 NHL entry draft, and it is the Chicago Blackhawks that have the first overall pick. If I'm not mistaken, that's going to be their third first overall pick in a row in this series. I'm pretty sure they just took Macklin Celebrini in the last NHL draft, and they did in the 2024 draft. They picked Macklin Celebrini first round, first overall. So they're getting their third first overall pick. Hopefully that drives them over the top. But let's jump right in here. The Blackhawks on the board with the Preds following up at second, Coyotes at third, Red Wings looking to move the fourth overall pick, and the Sharks at fifth. And no, we will not be acquiring the fourth overall pick. We do not have the capital to acquire the fourth overall pick. We barely have the capital to acquire anything. Prospect-wise, it's really barren. Salomonson, Cowan, and Laxo are our top prospects. I don't know how Iorio still counts as a prospect. I guess he didn't play the 25 standard games that he needs, and no, he only played 17. But we have good options for prospects, but no standout, like, amazing options for prospects. And then draft pick wise, we have 2 6th and a 7th in this year's draft, and a 1st and a 4th in next year's draft, and only a 1st, 4th, 5th, and 7th in the year after that. Hell, we don't have a 2nd round pick or 3rd round pick for the next 3 years. That being said, I said in the last episode, and I will state it again, we are in win now mode. I don't know if that's necessarily the best idea, because as a Leaf fan who grew up through the late 90s, early thousands, I know for a fact that that team was in win now mode for almost a decade longer than it should have been. Way more than a decade longer than it should have been. But we are here with a stellar set of players. I mean, Matthews, Marner, and Nylander are going to be some of the best, if not the best, players in Maple Leafs history. Matthews, I'm sure, will become the highest scoring forward in Toronto Maple Leafs history. Marner probably coming in at second, and Nylander maybe fighting for second as well. Hell, Riley is going to be good, and with Grabyankin's great first season, he could be up there. It's actually a bit scary when you think about it being a 100-plus-year-old franchise with most of their top scorers coming in the last most recent few decades. But we must look to what we can do here. Obviously, we don't have any top end picks to look at, so we will be looking to make some trades. I don't really necessarily need draft capital, so I'm not going to be looking desperately for picks, but if we get some picks, that'd be great. Let's see who Chicago picks first overall, and it is James Hagens, 78 high elite center sniper. He looks pretty good. I mean, he's a little weak defensively and physically. He's got a pretty good shot. I mean, he can't take a slap shot for the life of him, and he's pretty decent skating, but that offensive awareness is what takes him away. And he can win faceoffs, which is a good attribute to have. He can play center and left wing, so the Blackhawks could have a really good piece there. Hagens, Celebrini, and Bedard on that top line could be good for a long time to come. And fun fact, I don't know if it'll show it here, but it does show it here in the message center. The Frank J. Selke trophy, not the selfie trophy, the Frank J. Selke trophy went to Connor Bedard. He was amazing for the Blackhawks this season, even though they struggled. I am screwing up my words a lot. Let's get back to the draft. So Nashville has the 2nd overall pick. I'm not going to be chiming in and out with who picks who. I'll recap it afterwards. We do have Michael Misa, Jorgen Backer, Matthew Betts, Roger McQueen, Victor Eklund, Malcolm Spence. You know, some computer-generated mixes mixed in with the real world players. We're just not in the ballpark to be able to pick. If we can get up to the 20th overall pick and pick Jerry Dexter, who is now a confirmed medium elite center, who looks pretty good, that'd be great. Hell, Cadman Guerin, he could be also a medium elite player. I don't think we have the capital to get up there unless we move on from a Nick Hague. And if I'm moving on from Nick Hague, I don't want to move backwards. I want to move laterally, if not forward. If I can get an NHL serviceable player for Nick Hague, or a few of them, that's what I plan to do. But I'm going to take some time right now and scout out some trades, and I will be right back with you when I can find something. All right, 2nd overall is the Nashville Predators picking Michael Misa, and I actually have a trade to announce with the Nashville Predators. It'll be Thomas Nosek, the rights to Noah Chadwick, Frederick Burnett, who we signed last year's offseason, and a 4th round pick 3 years from now to the Nashville Predators for none other than Ilya Samsonov, and the rights to Nick Foligno just to offset the contracts. And we need Samsonov back. He was great. He didn't even play for the Predators last season. They claimed him and sent him down to the Milwaukee, I can't even remember what their team is, but their AHL affiliate. So we need to get him back, and I think this trade will do it. We also free up like $75,000 in cap space, so that'll be pretty decent. So let's see, will this go through? It does. On behalf of the Nashville Predators organization, I accept your trade offer. We will see you out on the ice. Awesome. So we do get out from underneath Thomas Nosek's contract. It's not that it was a bad one, but I didn't want it on the books. All right, and the next trade I'm looking to make is moving newly acquired Nick Foligno, the rights to Jacob McDonald and James Hamblin, to the New York Islanders for the rights to Riley Walsh and Hudson Fasching. If we can get these two guys signed up to cheap minimum league deals, that'd be great. I would love to get these guys locked up. Let's see, will this go through? It does. On behalf of the New York Islanders organization, I accept your trade offer. We'll see you out on the ice. Perfect. We do add another 2 pieces that hopefully we can get signed up for cheap. And after Backer goes 3rd overall to the Coyotes, Betts now goes 4th overall to the Detroit Red Wings. And honestly, I'm happy with the moves we've made so far. All right, and the next trade I'm looking to make is Nick Hague plus a 6th round pick in this year's draft and a 7th round pick 2 years from now for Alexander Nikishin and a 3rd round pick in this year's draft. Both vital assets to us, and honestly, Nikishin is the big one. 80 overall, 23-year-old right-handed defender who has a high top 4 potential, and if you look at his individual attributes, they look good. I'm excited to see what he can do for this team and how much he can grow, especially for Nick Hague. He's also on a league, like an entry-level contract for the next 2 years after this one fully ends, you know what I mean? So for the next 2 years, we'll have Nikishin signed for under $1 million. That would be amazing. That takes all of our problems out of the equation. So let's see, will this go through? It does. All right. We believe this transaction will contribute to our success here in Carolina, so we are accepting your trade offer. Beautiful. Okay, so it's unfortunate that we have to move on from Nick Hague, but honestly, if I was able to show you, which I forgot to do, Nick Hague had less value than Juuso Välimäki. Juuso Välimäki ended up being one of the best trade acquisitions we made in last year's trade deadline, aside from Brett Pesce, last year's draft day. Brett Pesce was a great acquisition. Juuso Välimäki was the best, value asset that we got. And now we add Nikishin to this lineup. If we look at our depth at defense now, it's Pesce, Riley, Välimäki. Hopefully we can retain McCabe, but if not, then it's still Nikishin, Stanley, Mahura, Benoit, Timmins, Iorio, Walsh, Villeneuve. Salmonson could jump up. We have a lot of depth at D now. We surprisingly have a lot of depth at D now. I still want to get one more big piece for defense, but we'll have to see if we can get that in free agency. And honestly, that's all the trades I think I'm going to be making at this year's NHL entry draft. I've been trying to think of what else we need to add. I've been writing down the roster and the lineups on a piece of paper here. And if you think about it, for just really the subtraction of Nicholas Hag from our roster, we were still able to add Ilya Samsonov, Hudson Fasching, Riley Walsh, and Alexander Nikishin, plus a third-round pick in this year's draft. So it's a pretty good amount of players that we brought in just through trades alone. I don't know what else we could really add. We definitely need, if we don't re-sign John Tavares, we need a second line center. We need a third line winger, because I'm not sure if Fasching will be that third line winger. And we need a second pairing defender to go with Morgan Rielly, because it's currently Valimaki and Pesce slated to be that top pairing again. And I want like a good serviceable defenseman for Morgan Rielly. I thought that would be Brett Pesce, and he did better with Valimaki. So I know we need to add something, but I think that will be done through free agency. And I still have players to move out if I want to free up cap space, such as Kalle Järnkrok and Pontus Holmberg. So honestly, I think we're good to stand pat here. I'm going to make the draft picks that we have and see what we can get. So we will jump to the end of the first round here and see who went where. So recapping the top 5, it was Hagens to the Blackhawks, Misa to the Predators, Bacher, computer-generated player, to the Arizona Coyotes, Betts, computer-generated player, to the Detroit Red Wings at 4th, and Roger McQueen, a real-world player, 5th overall to the San Jose Sharks. And this is a really deep draft. Like, we could have definitely seen what we could have done to trade up, maybe moved on from Nick Robertson, but I didn't want to move on from him for his cap control. Honestly, his cost control is crazy. But Eklund goes to the Bruins, Spence goes to the Kraken, Ekberg goes to the Wild, Gavin, a medium elite player, at 9th goes to the Sabres, Hensler, again, I have to, the rosters are almost done. We will be seeing a new series come out very soon. I just want to wait till after the trade deadline, which has already now officially passed a few hours ago as of recording this. So the new series will be coming out soon. I do think I'll be extending this Toronto Maple Leafs Series 1 because we're only 2 seasons in. We can go a little further. Carl Amborn to the Ducks, Kale Dock to the Penguins, Bouchard, Henry Bouchard to the Capitals, Schaefer to the Devils. Yeah, this is a really, really powerful draft. And there goes Dexter and Legg, 2 medium elite players at 19th and 20th overall. We probably could have traded up for Dexter. I just didn't really see the need to draft a prospect, but Cadman Guerin was a medium elite. I did scout him, and I thought he was a medium elite, and he ends up being a medium elite. So that might have been a good addition to add. That's a bit of a loss there, but I don't think we had the capital to trade up that far. Andreanov, wow, Pyotr Andreanov goes to the Philadelphia Flyers in the first round, medium elite, 72 overall. What a great player. I can't tell if he's real world or not. But again, we don't even have a second round pick, so we will be jumping to the third round, pick 77 for our first selection in this year's draft. And again, there were still some good players in the second round. Dag, the Preds. If you're not watching the Montreal Canadiens series, go watch it. He's in that one. He's in that one. Harnessed him to the Coyotes. There's some good players here. But I don't think we could have traded up. Rianis is pretty decent there, low elite. Yeah, but let's see what we can get here instead of looking at what we couldn't have gotten. Right off the bat, Kalle Ahonen looks pretty interesting, 5 years out. We don't have very good scouts for the first 2 years, so it is a little slim pickings for us. Paris Sontag could be good. I'm assuming he's probably a starter or a fringe starter, so I might just pass on that. All right, and you know what? Instead of making that third round pick, I do have another trade to announce. It'll be Nick Abruzzese and that 77th from the Carolina Hurricanes that we got in the Nikishin trade to the Ottawa Senators, our divisional rival, for Jorian Donovan. Prospect Jorian Donovan, I don't believe he's played in the NHL yet. Oh, he did. He just finished his first NHL season. He's an 83 overall top 6 defender. His individual attributes look pretty solid. He's very well rounded, and he plays left and right side of the ice. Perfect addition for us, and he might be great to go right there with Morgan Rielly. I think this is a great depth addition for us, and again, he's still got 2 more years at $820,000 after this year officially ends. So let's see, will this go through? It does. So that is officially the final trade, because unless I move that first round pick from next year's draft and leave ourselves with only a 4th round pick in next year's draft, I got nothing else that I want to acquire. So with all that said and done, we will jump to our 179th pick and take who we can. It will be another draftless draft where we don't really make a lot of picks, but we did add a lot of additions to our team, including Samsonov, Fashing, Walsh, Nikishin, and now Donovan, because we did move on from that third that we got in the Nikishin trade. So honestly, I'm not upset. I'm not upset with what we brought in, and we still have retained some cap space in order to bring in players in free agency or bring back players like John Tavares or Taylor Hall or even UC Saros if we do feel like it. If we sort by potential, there's not really anything available, so I'm just going to take shots in the dark here, honestly. And the first one's going to be Theodore Hesht. I don't think he's going to be very good. He's not very goodly rated, but I don't really think there's a better player. Maybe Volchenkov. I think it's really a choice between sticking a fork in the socket or putting the toaster in the bathtub. That's really what I think it is for these draft picks here. So we're going to take Theodore Hesht, the German, and he's a bottom 6. And then jumping to the 215th pick, I don't think we really missed anything between those two picks. So we're just going to pick the best player or the best name that we can find. And Ekholm immediately stands out. Francisco Quick. No, we're taking Francisco Quick because he's got a cool name. And he is also a bottom 6. So we didn't really add anything in this year's draft. I'm not really that fussed about it. We definitely have to start stocking our cabinets again. If this season is a bit wobbly, we might look to trade some players just for some mid-round picks and see what we can get in the mid-rounds in next year's draft. But that's it for this year's NHL entry draft. Let's see if the players that we offered contracts to, including Jake McCabe, do re-sign with the team. Jumping to the re-sign phase now, and we do lose a lot of scouts. Alex Iafallo seems to have accepted his contract, and he does accept the extension. Blake Wheeler accepts the extension, but Jake McCabe doesn't. I thought I was going to be able to get him on an absolute steal at around $3.1 million because that's what the 85% trick said I would be able to do, even though he didn't want to resign, but I was not able to. But now we sit at a pretty nasty time with a lot of players having expiring contracts. The newest additions in Fashing and Walsh, some of the new additions, I mean, not wanting to re-sign with us, so that's going to make it a little difficult, but let's see what we can do. We currently have $15.665 million in cap space, and honestly, the asking prices are a little higher than I expected them to be, with Hudson Fashing asking for $1.825 million, and Riley Walsh asking for $1.15 million. Now, that's still a variable contract and might not count against the cap fully, but I don't really like that price considering we have like Timmins Mahura signed for league minimum. I'm going to go quickly through and release a lot of players that I don't plan to re-sign, and then I'll be back with the remaining players that I hope to re-sign. I do think this spells the end of UC Saros' time in Toronto, as short as it was. We do have, again, Samsonov, Woll, and Hildeby to come in now, and, well, I just don't want to pay almost $8 million to a goalie who was a little worse than Samsonov was this year. It doesn't make sense. So we're going to release UC Saros. It hurts me to do that. It hurts me badly, but we might be able to get him back in free agency or get another goalie in free agency if we absolutely need one. I'm going to qualify Riley Walsh because I don't want to lose everything that we got in that trade for Walsh and Fashing. I mean, we didn't really give up much. We're going to give up players that we're going to release anyways, but still, it's about the thought that counts. When it comes to Jake McCabe, he's asking for much less than he was earlier in the season, so if we can get him signed for 2 years around $3.55 million, that would be great. He doesn't want to re-sign with us, but sometimes, even though they don't want to re-sign, they'll still accept the extension. He already declined once, but let's see if he'll accept this one. 2 years, $3.55 million. We'll have to wait and see. I'm going to try to offer Hudson Fashing a 1-year, $1.75 million contract, because again, I want to see if I can at least get something back from that trade. And then we are going to do it. We are going to offer John Tavares a 1-year, $5.65 million contract. I might be able to get him on a little bit of term, but at this point, I want to play it out year by year. He's kind of guaranteed to retire as a Leaf, in my opinion, but I want to play it out year by year so that we can get his contract lower and lower as time goes on. So let's see if he accepts this one. I'm still on the fence about Taylor Hall. He is again on the wrong side of 30. He's almost in his mid-30s, and I don't know if I want to give around $6 million to somebody like that. He was really good. He was really good for us. Let's wait and see what Tavares and McCabe say first before we go on with giving Taylor Hall an offer. So let's see. Do Tavares, McCabe, and Fashing stay with the Toronto Maple Leafs? And Hudson Fashing has rejected the offer, but John Tavares is back 1 year at $5.65 million. Jake McCabe has said no, he wants to test the free agent market this offseason. So maybe we'll be able to re-sign him in free agency. I'm still going to keep trying to give him a contract. We now have $10.7 million in cap space. So maybe we let him go and see what we can get instead. And that's honestly what I'm going to do. You guys might think this is crazy, but I'm going to release Taylor Hall, Jake McCabe, and Hudson Fasching and see if their prices drop and if they get an elongated stay in the free agent market, which is possible. It's definitely possible. So we're going to release them and hope to either get somebody equal to them or better than them or them themselves after time passes. It's unfortunate because I really wanted to bring in Taylor Hall and Jake McCabe, and it hurts me to hit the release button. I'm hoping I can get Hall back and McCabe. I'm really hoping for McCabe because he was so good for us this season. But already our team looks good. If we look at our forwards, Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares, Grevyankin, Nyes, Robertson, Holmberg hopefully can have a good season. Iafallo's re-signed for a really cheap contract. Minton, Carconi, Easton Cowan, Blake Wheeler, Calle Yarncrow, Kiefer Bellows. There's so many players here that can come up into the NHL core. And then defensively, Pesce, Riley, Donovan, Valimaki, Benoit, Mahura, Stanley, Nikishin, Timmins, Iorio, Walsh. There are a lot of players here that can keep us going. And let's not forget the net, where it's Hildeby, Samsonov, and Wall's net for the season. But let's jump ahead here. I don't really care about the scouts that we're going to lose because they're bad anyways. So we're going to jump to free agency, see who's available, and make some possible moves or end the video there. So we're now at free agency. We've released the contracts of the scouts that we had because they were bad anyways. I'll sign new scouts now because they will be available. And we'll take a look at who's available in free agency to spend our money on. We don't have a lot of it, but we'll see who is available to sign. Okay, right at the top, Mike Benning is an 82 overall top 6 defender who had 52 points this season in the NHL, I believe. Yeah, in the NHL, first season. He's a unrestricted free agent asking for $8.8 million. I'm not offering him that. Let's start with the goalies though. As we know, UC Saros is available, followed by Vitek Vanacek, Aiden Hill, Cam Talbot, Mackenzie Blackwood, Ville Husso. There's a lot of decent goalie options here. I'm going to stay with what we have currently. I might bring in like a Husso or a Blackwood because they're cheaper. We just don't really have the ability to bring in UC Saros. Prospect wise, there is Trey Augustine. I might bring him in. If you watch the Butte Bandit series, that one I believe is officially over now. I might just do a wrap up video for that one, or like an extended finale for that one. So we are able to now take players from the Butte Bandit series, and Trey Augustine might be a good one. He might be a good one. We'll have to see. Defensively, we know that Mike Benning is available. We know that Jake McCabe is available, but there's also some other good defenders, including Ryan Lindgren, Vlad Gavrikov. I buried the lead. Victor Hedman's available, and I would love to bring in Victor Hedman. Oh my god, but I love to bring in Victor Hedman. The only problem about bringing in Victor Hedman is that he is $7.65 million worth of cap against us, and I mean, for Victor Hedman, that's pretty good. Having Hedman, Riley, and Pesce on the same defensive core with either Donovan or Valimaki as that fourth defender. There's also players like Dmitry Orlov, and this is what I meant. A pretty damn good defender for pretty much nothing. Dmitry Orlov had 24 points this season. He has really decent stats, pretty good defensively, good puck mover, good offensive awareness, good physicality, and good skater. And he's asking for just over $3 million. That's not too bad. Now, he is 33, so that's a little worrisome for me, but it's still a possibility. I mean, if we're looking to if we're willing to look at signing Victor Hedman, we got to be looking at Dmitry Orlov as well. Aside from that, you got players like Blankenberg, Yogi Haru. Not really anything that is jumping off the page at me. Prospect wise, obviously we know it's Benning and Adam Ginning. That's really it. I don't see anyone else aside from Hedman. Maybe Neil Pionk. I didn't really have a lot of points, even though he's supposed to be a puck mover. He could be a good option, but another offensive defensive might not gel well with the team. And Jake McCabe, he's dropped his asking price so much. Oh my gosh, we could be able to get him for like $3.1 million over 2 years. I'm willing to put that in right now. I'm willing to put that right. I'm really tempted. But I might need that cap if I'm going to go after a big fish. Jake McCabe is definitely an option. Let me know in the comments if you want to see him come back to the Toronto Maple Leafs, because I have no problem doing that. As for forwards, there are some decent ones. I mean, Taylor Hall is a really good one. Brock Besser is a really, really good one. I mean, he would be great. We just don't need a right winger, though. With Marner and Nylander already on that right wing, unless we move Nylander to the center on the 3C or move Nylander to the center 2C and Tavares to the 3C, just not really any options there. There's also players like Ryan Johansson, Jamie Benn, Josh Bailey has jumped up big time after having a 71-point season. Holy cow. I wouldn't mind reuniting him and John Tavares, and for 5.5 million, that's actually a possibility. It's also like Adam Henrique, who again, 85 overall, asking for just under $4 million. He's got great individual attributes. I wouldn't mind signing him. There's a lot of decent players here that we can take one off with and see if maybe they can take us to a cup. There's Andrew Mangiapane. Look at this. Radek Faksa asking for league minimum. 100% giving him a contract. 100 freaking percent. Gustav Nyquist under 2 million. Thomas Tatar under 2 million. Will become the Toronto Red Wings. I don't mind. Max Domi is back. Justin Danforth, Jake Evans. Oh, boys, in the next episode, I will be doing a lot of free agent signings here. A lot. We might even bring back JVR. I will be adding a lot to this team. We have 7 spaces available, but I don't mind adding more. Even Michael Rasmussen is available, and he could be really good for us. And prospect wise, there's Mark McLaughlin, there's Fabian Zetterlund, who I also wouldn't mind bringing in, Jack Drury, Grigory Denisenko looks great. Guys, we're going to be making some big moves. I'm actually really excited after seeing that forward core that's available through free agency. But that is going to be it through this video. I know it might not seem like we did as much as I said we were going to do. We did make quite a few trades. We said goodbye to some big players, but it's going to be the next episode that we add the big additions. If I can free up some cap, I absolutely will. It might mean that Pontus Holmberg and Kalle Jarnkrok are out of the way and off the team, but honestly, we have the depth at forward to replace them, and especially with some of the players available like Radek Faksa, we could really cushion this team. But thank you guys so much. Leave your comments down below on who you think in free agency I should go after. I'm going to take a really deep dive into this between episodes. I'm going to sign new scouts. I'm going to bring this team to championship status going into the next season. We are going to be the most elite of the elite. If I can do it, I will do it. But thank you guys so much for joining me. This has been a blast. If you guys like this video, please leave a like down below. It only lets me know what type of content you want to see more of. If you really like it, then why not consider subscribing? Okay, you can do it on a 30-month free trial. Okay, it's not like it costs anything either way. But if you don't like it after 30 did I say 30-month free trial? 30-day free trial. If you don't like it after the 30 days, you can unsubscribe. I understand. I don't like to fill my inbox and my subscription box with a whole bunch of different videos. I do plan to get back to posting daily after fighting this stupid ass illness, and it's still kicking my butt, but I gotta get good because I got things to do, places to be, people to see, and videos to record and edit. So thank you guys so much for joining me. You guys have been amazing, always so supportive. Love you all, and I'll see you guys in the next video.